It's Mr. Scammer, and today we're talking about back to school. You know, there's one TV ad that always comes to mind when we get to late August, and it's for an office supply company, and it uses the Christmas song, "It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year." And it is. Kids are going back to school, and it's also the most wonderful time of the year for scammers. So we'll take a look at 3 potential scams or 3 less than honest things that happen in terms of going back to school, and hopefully you won't become a victim of any one of them. As school restarts, we're going to see more and more students out on the street, and some of them are going to be coming door to door because as school starts, so do the activities, and the activities quite often mean fundraising. And the fundraising can be the sale of items, it could be the purchase of things, it could also be just asking for cash donations. Fundraising is how most school organizations are able to make it through, whether it is sports or activities such as the foreign language clubs of schools. So things to be aware of. If an adult or a student comes to the door of your house and asks for a donation or is selling products, you need to be a little bit skeptical and a little bit on the aggressive side when it comes to questioning that person if you don't know who they are. Now, because the kids and the parents are trying to raise, quite often, a large sum of money, particularly if it involves travel, they will circulate around an entire community or maybe even neighboring communities. So it's not unusual for somebody to come up to your door and not even be from your town, from a school in your town. Important things to do. Be aggressive, as I said. Ask questions. Ask them, what is the organization that's raising the money? Ask, what's the purpose of the money being raised? And what school you're from, and who the sponsor or the group coach is, so that you can make contact back to the school and find out if that particular fundraiser is legitimate. I know it's really hard sometimes to be aggressively questioning kids, but in the case of your money, you need to protect it. So the first step is be very cautious, ask questions, find out who's involved, ask the individual who's at your doorstep to come back. If they're serious about raising money, they will have no problem coming back to you. So ask them to come back, and in the meantime, check out their references. Check out the school, find out the sponsor, make sure the person who came to your door is actually involved in that activity. Next, if you decide the activity is worth it, it is something that you want to donate to, it is an item you want to purchase, it's important to cover your investment in that activity, meaning what you pay with is very critical. Don't pay with cash, don't pay with gift cards, use a check. And make sure that the check is written out to the organization, preferably the school, with a notation as to what the group is. If the check goes that way, it's going to end up having to go to the school in order to be cashed, as opposed to somebody saying, oh, write it out to me, or write it out to some group that you've never heard of. So when dealing with fundraisers, protect your money, be generous if you feel you want to be, but also take the steps that will protect your effort in making sure that the money is going to the party and the group that you want it to go to. A second thing that we see happening quite often this time of year with high school juniors, college students, and sometimes graduate students is the promotion of organizations or programs called Who's Who. In this case, you receive a letter Quite often it's a rather elaborate letter. It's ego boosting, and it will talk about how great a person you are or how accomplished you are and that you deserve recognition. And the way to gain recognition is to register for their Who's Who program. It could be Who's Who in high schools in America, Who's Who in small colleges, Who's Who in engineering programs. It doesn't matter. There are dozens of these programs out there, and they quite often will promote themselves as saying, we'll take your information, we'll post it in a book, and that way college recruiters can see what you've done and end up putting you in a fast track to, let's say, get a college admission or get into a graduate program or maybe even earn a scholarship. What we know is that there's no instant guarantee, and that quite often these organizations are only interested in one thing, and that is getting you to register and then selling you a book of the registries. So, for example, if it happens to be a book on Who's Who in American high schools, you sign up for it, you fill out an information sheet which tells who you are, what you do, activities you're involved with, other things about your background, and then you send a check with that application so that you get a copy of the book that lists your information and everyone else's. Quite often, these organizations will also sell you a pull-out page, meaning you get a framed page of your information. Before you sign up for these, before you register, know what you're getting into. Know what the information is that they're looking for. Know that the likelihood of your registration on the Who's Who list is not going to award you with very much other than maybe seeing your name in a book. And most importantly, find out what that company does with the information they collect. Now, they may publish the information in their book, but do they also take your information and share it with other companies, or do they sell your information? For example, a group of high school juniors who are interested in particular sports might be a marketable item to vendors of sporting equipment. And the company that's doing the Who's Who program is probably quite aware of that. So before you sign up for a Who's Who program, be sure you know what you're signing up for. Know that you probably won't get much other than the fact that your name will be in print and that you'll be able to buy a book with your information in it so you can show your friends. As far as something more tangible, I don't think you'll see very much. The final tip that we're going to give you today has to do with shopping. Going back to school quite often means doing a lot of shopping in the month of August. Whether you're a high school student, elementary school student, or college student, there are things to be bought, whether it's school supplies, clothing, quite often big ticket items like computers and printers are things that people will buy just before they head off to school. And it isn't something that's just exclusive to college students, but can also be high school and elementary students. The criminals, the people who push the fraud and the scams, are well aware of the fact that there are folks out there with money who want to spend it. And as a result, they get very creative. They create websites that look very, very good. The website can actually be made by a professional. It promotes particular items such as computers, printers. It may be back-to-school equipment and tools. But the idea is that it's a scam. And the way you find out is, as I said with some of the other tips, check it out online. Find out if the company is legitimate or real by Googling it and seeing what you get for results. And in particular, using that word review or ratings along with the name of the company. You'll be able to check it out very quickly. Know that there's such a thing as something being too good to be true. For example, a computer that normally sells for anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500 being sold for $500 would be something that I would call too good to be true and most likely not going to really occur. Companies don't make money by deep discounting unless they plan on selling other things to you. And if the ticketed item, such as a computer, is a big ticket item, the odds are that this item is not going to be available to you, or you may find some catches that come up. So be very careful when shopping online for back-to-school items. Look at the website that you're dealing with if you're looking online, because quite often the easiest way to do your shopping is to go to a computer, search for the item that you're looking for, and then find who's offering that item. Make sure the company is legitimate. An example of how deceptive the criminal can be would be in the URL or the address of the company. For example, if you're looking at some computer software and the software you want to buy is from Microsoft, Microsoft's website is www.microsoft, spelled out Microsoft.com. A con artist creating his own website might have a website with the address of Microsoft.com. Microsoft, not Microsoft, takes you to the website, and it looks like the legitimate Microsoft website. Be careful. Look at those URLs. Look at the addresses that appear on the computer pages when you're doing your shopping. Those are 3 tips that you can take to the bank when getting prepared for school. And as I said, it is the most wonderful time of the year. Recently, the Federal Trade Commission issued a number of decisions related to the Equifax security breach that occurred in 2017. Pay attention to what you see on this decision because you can benefit. There are 2 choices you can opt for. One is a simple up to $125 initial amount of money that you can receive. The other is 10 years of background checking and security online provided by Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. You need to decide what you want to do with this, but the best thing to do is research it. Go to the website www.ftc.gov/Equifax. On that website, you can find out if your information has been compromised and what the options are, and then you can register for the option of your choice. Have you recently received an email from Apple Computer, or maybe from Microsoft, and the email states that there's a problem either with your account or that your computer has developed some viruses or malware? Note that Microsoft, Apple, and the other major tech companies do not regularly notify individuals of problems. In fact, they don't do that at all. If you receive one of those messages and it asks you to click here in order to correct the problem, don't click here. In fact, you want to delete that email after you send a copy of it to the company involved. If you want to send that copy, send it to Apple by sending it to abuse@apple.com, or to Microsoft by sending it to abuse@microsoft.com. In both ways, removing the email from your email address book and also removing the email and sending a notice to the company will help solve the issue by getting at the scammers directly. Have you received a notice from your bank notifying you that there's a problem with your account? The notice may even be from a bank that you don't have an account with. If you've received that, it is definitely a fraud. It is a scam. Don't respond to that email. Don't click on anything that asks you to click here. And certainly don't click on anything that says to be deleted from our mailing list. Because this is fraud, you don't want to send any information out from your computer to the sender of that message. Delete the message from your computer. If you have any questions regarding whether or not it actually came from one of your accounts, from your bank or from a broker or from a credit card company, contact the bank, contact the broker, contact the credit card company using reliable information, such as the contact information that can be found on the statement from that company or that can be found on your credit card. Are you involved in a job search? Most people today have basically avoided going to the newspaper and looking for employment in newspaper ads. Most people end up using the internet because far more job opportunities can be found. In the event that you're using the internet, beware of a couple things that are very clear in internet advertisements. First of all, research the company that is offering the job. It may be a job broker or it may be a specific company announcing that it has positions that are available. You can do the research very simply by going online, typing in the name of the company and the word rating. That will give you a report back that tells you if this is legitimate or if there's always been a problem with a particular company that you're attempting to deal with. Another thing that you need to be aware of is unusual procedures. If the job application calls for you to send strange things or personally identifiable information, such as a request for your social security number, or other particular things like driver's license numbers or credit card numbers, most likely that job offer is not an offer, but it's a phishing attempt to gain information from you. Beware of those particular things because job applications do not require them initially when it's a beginning offer. Finally, if you receive a job offer and you're not looking for a job, quite often that too is a phishing attempt, an attempt to gather personal information. Disregard that, delete it. You may also want to add the address of that particular email into your list of blacked out sites. Once you do that, you're going to be a lot safer. But again, beware of job offers that come on the internet. Are you making purchases online? Or are you making purchases based on phone calls? There are a couple of very safe steps to take before you pay for those purchases. First of all, if the person that you're buying from requests gift cards as a means of payment, consider that to be most likely a scam. Secondly, don't use debit cards to pay for bills. Debit cards provide access to a bank account, and as a result, your bank account can be drained if this happens to be a scam. Thirdly, money orders. Don't pay by money orders. Money orders are generally untraceable once they've been cashed, and as a result, any money that's paid and cashed in is lost if it's a scam. And fourthly, be very careful of any links that are provided if it's on email. Don't add information. Don't provide account numbers. If you get one of these requests to pay and you know that it's legitimate, or even if you're unsure, the best thing to do is pay with a credit card. Credit cards provide you with liability protection in the event that a scam is taking place, and credit cards also give you a traceable involvement with the particular company that you're making payment to. Be safe with your payments, whether they're online payments, through the mail, or if they're on the telephone. Many of us use social media as a means of communicating with friends, with associates, and with family members. Quite often, while we're using social media, we see pop-up ads, and those ads are commercial. They offer things for sale. A couple hints about dealing with those ads. First of all, if the offer that you see that's being presented in an ad is too good to be true, most likely it is too good to be true. Companies don't succeed by offering exclusively free deals and extremely discounted deals. So beware of those. If you're unsure about whether or not a company is truly offering a good deal to you or if the company is legitimate, Check with two sources, one of them being the Better Business Bureau, the other being your state attorney general. State's attorney general office keeps tabs on complaints that are made to commercial operations. You also want to be able to look at how you pay for any items that you decide to purchase based on an ad in social media. Always pay with a credit card. Credit cards provide the best protection when paying for goods online. What's the best way to protect yourself overall, in general, from being a victim of fraud, and the type of fraud where somebody opens an account in your name or takes out a loan in your name? The best weapon you have is called a credit freeze, in which credit bureaus are locked out from providing information to people who are potential creditors. Credit freezes are free of charge. Everybody should get one, and get one as soon as possible. There are a couple ways of doing this. One is by phone call, the other is by going online. In order to get a credit freeze, you need to visit all 4 of the major credit bureaus, and that would be Equifax, Experian, Innovis, and TransUnion. You can do this again online or going by telephone to each of those credit bureaus. Credit freeze would be taking place free of charge. It locks your account. In the event that you need credit for a purchase that you plan on making or for a continuing purchase, then all you have to do is thaw out the credit freeze for a short period of time, make your purchase, and then refreeze. Credit freezes do not impact existing credit relationships, so all of your credit cards and current loans stay as they would. It just would stop any future purchases or put a block on them until you lift that freeze in order to make the purchase. Most people who browse the internet at one time or another decide to do some shopping or check out companies that they may not be familiar with. One of the dangers of doing that is the possibility of being scammed by a phishing operation or even an illegal or illegitimate sale. You want to protect yourself from that happening, and there are a couple ways of doing that. One is when you see that website, before you click on anything, check out the URL, the address line on the page, and see what the address is. The address should have the name of the company and then .com or .org. If it doesn't show that, but it shows something like Gmail or Google.com, it is most likely a scam. You want to check out the company name, and the best way to do that is type in the company name followed by the word rating. If that company has been reported as being a scam, it will show up in the search results that take place. But again, check out before you buy. Be safe rather than sorry. Identity theft is one of the major problems most of us have to deal with today. And a lot of times the identity theft takes place as a result of major security breaches at companies. Probably the most well-known security breach took place with Equifax approximately 2 years ago. But sometimes the security breach is a self-inflicted wound. It is something where we put information online that we shouldn't, and quite often that takes place in social media, such as Facebook or Instagram. There are some basic hints and procedures that you should follow in order to keep that information out of the hands of criminals. First of all, be very careful about what information you post. You shouldn't be posting things like birth dates or social security numbers, account numbers. Information like that can be used by criminals, and it's very easy to hack into a social media account. Secondly, beware of posting things like full frontal photographs. Frontal photographs can be taken off the internet. They can be then used to create fake IDs. So posting a frontal photo is probably one thing that would be a major problem. Don't post travel plans. When somebody puts information on their Facebook account that says, next week we're going to California, That can be looked upon as information to friends, but to a criminal, that becomes an open invitation to rob your home because it most likely will be empty. Finally, keep in mind that anything that you post online, anything that you place in a social media account or on any account online is there permanently. While you may be able to appear to erase that information, it never gets completely erased. And the information, once posted on the internet, stays on the internet forever. Unlike if it's spoken in Las Vegas, it stays in Las Vegas. If it's spoken on the internet or written on the internet, it stays in the public venue forever. Beware of what you post. Be careful of the information that you put online. Have you recently received a phone call from a federal agency? It could be the IRS. That phone call might be warning you of a problem with your tax report. It could be from Medicare saying that there's a problem with your Medicare account. Be aware that the federal government does not use the telephone to communicate issues with citizens. Federal government will send you a post notice either by first-class mail or by registered mail if there's a problem, to let you know that there's a problem and provide you with an opportunity to respond. So if you get that phone call from the federal government, disregard it, hang up immediately. It's a fraud. If you're like me and a Medicare recipient, you may have received a phone call that offers you a free brace or free knee brace or free genetic testing. And the key word here is free. Quite often what these folks will also do is tie in the fact that the free is being provided by Medicare. Couple things to be aware of. First of all, there is no such thing as free. Even Medicare does not cover everything completely, and only 80% of the cost is covered by Medicare. The 20% remaining has to be paid either by you or any supplemental insurance that you have. In addition, many of these calls will state something to the effect that this is a limited time offer. Medicare is not a limited time service or provision. Medicare covers you for the rest of your life if you're a senior citizen. And so saying that something is a limited time provision, again, is a good indication that there's something illegal taking place. Thirdly, if you have a problem, such as a backache or knee ache or a problem that requires genetic testing or braces, those items have to be ordered by your attending physician. They can't be ordered online by somebody else. So if you feel you need something like that, check with your physician. In limited cases, Medicare will cover the cost of genetic testing if it's going to be linked to some disease that is being treated. In addition, if you do need some form of back brace, knee brace, arm brace, that can be provided with a doctor's order. And again, 80% of the cost will be covered by Medicare, 20% remains for you or for your insurance company to cover. In the event that fraud is committed and you receive a brace or some other service through a claimed Medicare provision, and it's not, you may find yourself liable for paying the entire expense of that particular item. So for instance, if it's genetic testing, that could be an $8,000 bill. Refrain from falling for these scams. If you get a call from Medicare, hang up. Did you recently receive a call from Publishers Clearinghouse? You've won $5,000 a week. Maybe you've won several $1,000,000, or even one of the lesser prizes. It's a scam. Publishers Clearinghouse, or PCH, does not pre-notify its winners. Publishers Clearinghouse shows up on your doorstep with that big paper check and providing you with all the good benefits, including balloons and confetti. The reality here is that if you get the call in advance, it is a scam. And in particular, if the caller says all you have to do is pay a small fee. Whenever you win a lottery or any prize, whether it's Publishers Clearinghouse or one of the other prizes that are found on the internet or on phone calls, those prizes are provided without fees and without prepaying taxes. So if somebody calls you, somebody notifies you of an award that you've received or that you're eligible for, be very careful. Don't provide any information, and certainly don't pay any fees that are associated with that prize, because it's a scam.